Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today at Kids Time, it's the letter W, and welcome starts with the letter W. We want to thank you all for watching, and we want to say hello to all of you who have watched so many of these and left comments to say you've appreciated them. We've loved making them for you too. Our first song is going to be a familiar one. It is Wheels on the Bus, because wheels starts with the letter W. So let's get our wheels ready. And we're gonna, and you can sing along with us in the different verses. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. The doors on the bus go open and shut, open and shut, open and shut. The doors on the bus go open and shut, all through the town. The windows on the bus go up and down, up and down, up and down. The windows on the bus go up and down, all through the town. The wipers on the bus go swish, 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 swish. The wipers on the bus go swish, 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 all through the town. The horn on the bus goes beep, 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 beep. The horn on the bus goes beep, 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 all through the town.
Good job on singing the wheels on the bus. All right, our next song we're going to sing is a song to the tune of Ring Around the Rosie. And this song, we're going to walk around in a circle, so you might see us walk around a little bit, and then we're going to do different actions when we stop and add them to our walking. So let's stand up, and we'll do this to the tune of Ring Around the Rosie. Here we go. Walk around the circle, walk around the circle, walking, walking, now do this. Okay, now what we're going to do as we walk around is we're going to pat our head. So see if you can pat your head as you're walking around the circle. Here we go. Walk around the circle, walk around the circle, walking, walking, now do this. Okay, this time we're going to clap our hands as we're walking around the circle. So see if you can do that. Here we go. Walk around the circle, walk around the circle, walking, walking, now do this. Okay, that's how the song goes, and maybe you can add other things to your song as you're walking around the circle.
Okay, our last song is about the weather, because the weather starts with the letter W. And you'll hear a word in here that also starts with the letter W, windy, which we have a lot of wind sometimes by us. So you can sing along with us, and at the end of the song, look outside and see what the weather is like by you. It goes like this. What's the weather? What's the weather? What's the weather like today? Is it windy? Is it cloudy? Is there rain or is there sun? Now, today, the day that we're recording this video, it's cloudy outside. What is it like outside by you today?
All right, now we're going to move on and talk about the letter W. And here in the center, we have a bright red W. And a W actually looks like a V and a V beside each other. But it's a really cool letter, a W. And it makes the sound W, W. And this underneath is a windmill. And we live in Orange City, and there are a lot of windmills around, or pictures of windmills. So maybe you can spot a windmill in Orange City. And here we have a bicycle, and it has wheels on it. And wheels starts with the letter W. Up here, we have some waffles. I love to eat waffles. They're delicious. And waffle starts with W. On the other side, we have windows. And maybe you can count the windows in your house today. Windows starts with the letter W. And then underneath, we have some whales. I've actually been to Alaska, and there are a lot of whales over there, and whales starts with the letter W. And then at the top here, we have a craft that we did at the library, making a W and turning it into what looks like a watermelon. And maybe you like to eat watermelon. Maybe that's one of your favorite foods is watermelon. So those are our words for W.
Our books for W, we start with Wiggle by Doreen Cronin. This is a fun book to get you moving, and you can find this one on Tumble Books. Our next book is called The Contest Between the Sun and the Wind. It's a retelling of an Aesop fable by Heather Forrest, and you can find that on Tumble Books as well. Our next one is one that you can find on Bridges, and it's 2 different books, but when you reserve it on Bridges, you get 2 in 1 reservation. It's fall into winter and spring into summer. So both of these books talk about weather, and if you like Cat in the Hat, you can find that one on Bridges. And our last one is kind of a fun book if you like activities. It's called The Everything Kids Nature Book by Kathian M. Kowalski. It talks about making waves. So waves starts with W, and you can find this one on Bridges, and maybe you can do some fun things out in nature with your ideas from this book. Okay, now we are going to do a story, and I'm going to do the actions, and Andrea is going to read it. It's a story called Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle, and we use our thumbs to tell the story. So listen to Andrea, and if you want, you can follow along with your thumbs with me.
All right, this is Mr. Wiggle. He lives in a little house over here. This is Mr. Waggle. He lives in a little house over here. One day, Mr. Wiggle opened his door and came out. Oh, it is such a lovely day. I think I will go and visit my friend, Mr. Waggle. So he closed his door and went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he came to Mr. Waggle's door. He knocked on the door. Mr. Waggle was down in the basement sorting his potatoes, so he didn't hear Mr. Wiggle when he knocked on the door. Oh, Mr. Waggle, he cried. Mr. Waggle must not be home, said Mr. Wiggle. I think I'll go back home. So he went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill. He opened his door and went in and closed his door. But he was so tired that he had to lie down and take a nap. Meanwhile, Mr. Waggle finished sorting his potatoes and he came up. He opened the door and came out. Oh, what a lovely day. I think I'll go and visit my friend Mr. Wiggle. So he closed his door. He went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill. When he came to Mr. Wiggle's house, he knocked on the door. But Mr. Wiggle was taking a nap and didn't hear him. And when he went, no one came to the door. So Mr. Wiggle thought, Mr. Wiggle must not be home. So I'll go home. So he went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he came back to his house. He opened the door and went in. Meanwhile, Mr. Wiggle finished his nap. Oh, I do wish I could see my good friend Mr. Waggle. Mr. Waggle thought, I wish I could see my friend Mr. Wiggle. I'll try again. So each of them opened their doors, came out, closed their doors, and they went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until they met in the middle. Why, hello, Mr. Waggle. I was on my way to see you. Well, Mr. Wiggle, I was on my way to see you. I came to see you earlier, but you weren't home. Oh, that must have been why I was in the basement sorting potatoes. I came to see you, but you weren't home. That must have been when I was taking a nap. Well, come on over to my house now. So they went up the hill and down the hill, and up the hill and down the hill, and up the hill and down the hill, until they came to Mr. Waggle's house. They opened the door and went in. They had such a lovely time. They were drinking water and eating waffles. It was delicious. Then it was time for Mr. Wiggle to go home. So they opened the door and came out. Mr. Wiggle waved at Mr. Wiggle, and they went up the hill and down the hill, and up the hill and down the hill, and up the hill and down the hill, until they came to his house. Then each of them opened their doors and went into their houses and closed their doors. And that's the story of Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle.
All right, thanks for joining us so much for this week of Kids Time, and we will see you again next week.